So I'm really excited to have a chat today with Jake Harris from Upper Limit. So Jake, your business name is Upper Limit. So how does that name reflect what you do?
Yeah, good question. So Upper Limit's a bit of an idea for me. It comes from a book I love, which is around when people move to the next level. Quite often they find themselves up against an upper limit problem. So gravity of the current situation pulls them back to where they are. So for me, it's a bit of a subtle reminder about, I believe, the only upper limits that really exist, the ones we impose on ourselves. So it's around how you can expand beyond current limitations, go to the next level. So it's nice having that all the time to, remind and have as an orienting idea.
Yeah. So every coach has their unique approach. Can you share a bit about your coaching style and how it reflects your personality and your values?
Yeah. So over time, I think, and I would hope all my clients say this, but it's more and more like me. I'm really big on dealing with both the person in front of me, what they're up against, trying to get into their position, really see it from how they are and what I can see from outside. So much of good coaching is just reflecting back, helping people actually see their situation clearly and move forward. So in that sense, I think I'd probably be a bit more casual than some other coaches. I always like to try and skirt the line between, getting to that point halfway through a chat where someone's like having a laugh and being like, "Oh, get stuffed." I think if you're in that space, that's pretty good calibrating. So, in terms of the personality coming through, if you can find the best mode for that person, the ways that they grow and move forward, really big believe that if you can reflect back a situation to someone, if they're motivated and capable, which people are, they can sort of sort it out. But a lot of the time, it's just the missing lens. So.
Yeah. Makes it more personable, and I guess by that approach you're getting the best out of someone.
Yeah, definitely. Like everything I do is I have a toolkit, but effectively custom. So I think there is a place for targeted workshops and 12-week programs where you go straight down the line and hit all these points. Mm-hmm. I think though, if you really want to get good results, you have to meet the person where they are. And people don't come in boxes, unfortunately. So in that sense, you really have to start with what they're up against and, really appreciate that and their situation.
Okay. And beyond just business strategies, how do you incorporate personal growth and mindset development in your strategies?
So they're kind of one and the same. Like I don't think any business grows without personal growth as well. So that's a huge underpinning factor. If you can help someone, like so much of it's about being able to walk through a doorway that you've always wanted to but don't know how to. So a lot of that can be around skill development. So sometimes it might be something like breaking down a limiting belief around sales being good or bad, or some hang-ups on money, things like that. These are the kind of things that unlock growth in people though. So combination of finding what the business needs, what the person needs, where they want to go with it, identifying that, and then really helping someone build that skill set around it, try new stuff in a safe way.
Cool. And another aspect of your coaching is empowering teams. So what does empowerment mean to you?
Great topic. A really recent conversation just yesterday, having a chat with a long-term client of mine, but just around this idea that if you are continually giving commands, if that's your style of leadership, you'll be stuck where you are. Yeah. So as long as you are telling people what to do directly, they're pinned to you. So obviously, if you want to go to that next level, if you want to have more freedom, flexibility in your job, in the way you do things, not only that, but a more engaged team, they really do need to be empowered, engaged, have autonomy and buy into the bigger picture. So for me, like empowered teams is one of the best things you can do. Ways you do that is, having structure around creating a vision, sort of setting some loose boundaries, and then really trusting the team is a big element of it, to grow and take up the space to work out the how.
So would you work from the owners down to leaders and trickling down to the teams as well?
Yeah, generally an engagement would be with an owner and then coming down to maybe the next layer of management. So say an operations manager, general manager, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could rave about team dynamics all day. I think one of the most interesting things you can talk about is how you show up as the kind of leader you want to be in your business, because that's directly aligned with the kind of business you want to build.
Yeah.
So if you've got a vision of what that business, what that life is like, so much of that is how you show up as that person to get the kind of results that you need.
Yeah.
Love it.
We've definitely seen that in our business. If our customer service managers, is by giving them the power to let them do their job. They're very, very good at it.
Yeah.
And giving them the power to just get on with it.
Oh,
They know what they're doing.
Massively.
They're very good at what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, the combination of having engaged people. I don't think anyone comes to work to just piss around and waste time. Like, no one wants to feel bad at their job. So I think for the most part, that's a given. Obviously, things go on in life where we're all going to have days where we're not 100% sure. But for the most part, people, it's such a fundamental part of our identity.
Yeah.
People want to come to work and do well. So you can sort of trust that idea. Beyond that, it's just giving them what's the bigger vision, how do I fit into it, and then letting them really find their space and grow into it.
Yeah.
How many times, I'm sure you've come across it, but you think you've got a set procedure and this is the way to do it. You pass it over and, wow, that's actually much better.
Yeah. Our process, and we've had this conversation, our process changes all the time.
Yeah, which is great.
There's always a better way of doing things, but being able to change processes quickly is another thing that I think is important, especially in our business and our line of work.
Well, and like more broadly, the world.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty rare that we have a week where something revolutionary doesn't happen now in terms of technology and the way you interact. So yeah, being stuck in the past is the one guaranteed way to be irrelevant.
Yeah. And speaking of books, so do you have any favorite books or podcasts that have influenced your coaching?
For sure. Weird way to start, but The Inner Game of Tennis. So it's this great guy who sort of kicked off the whole coaching revolution. So Timothy Galway, just this idea around not instructing, helping people get meaningful points of feedback on how they're doing stuff, being present and aware with what they're doing, and then letting natural intelligence take over a lot. So that as a powerful idea is great. Summed up, a lot of it is just trust the process, calibrate yourself, and the outcomes take care of themselves. Everything Seth Godin's written. So the idea of getting on the hook, shipping work continually, putting things out there for judgment to make them better. Huge theme and love all of that. And then, to nail it down to one more, The Happiness Trap by Russ Harris. Fantastic book on very practical guidelines on how to use acceptance commitment therapy in everyday life to get more out of life. That just kicked off a whole rabbit hole for me of ACT therapy as a toolkit for how you can have more useful thought, engaged, values-based life. Beautiful stuff. But as like a practical little manual, like great toolkit.
Yeah.
Great toolkit.
Good. I'm going to look those up today.
I'll give you 100 more if you want.
Now, can you share what a business owner would expect in the first 3 months of working with you?
Yeah, for sure. So like first thing is always put everything on the table, see what we're up against. So like I was saying before, it's pretty hard to get to B if you don't know where A is to start with.
Yeah.
So it's sort of the combination of those two things. So what's happening, what's the reality of your world at the moment? Being quite clear about that. And then where are we trying to get to, which is quite a prickly question sometimes because people have a vague idea. There's a big difference between, for example, I want to drive to Perth or I want to head west. Both start off the same way, but could have very different destinations. So being very clear on where you're going to. Generally, I do like a total business snapshot. So send me everything, ask a whole heap of questions, work out what the 1 or 2 big things we need to do in the first block of work. And then a lot of it's just about getting into the habit of doing that. So really making meaningful progress on the things that matter. I'm a huge effectiveness junkie. Efficiency is a bit of a dirty word for me. I think like you don't get permission to talk about making things efficient until you really work out what's effective in the business.
Yeah.
So much of what we actually do early on is like cutting things out, working out what makes a difference and what doesn't.
Yeah.
Because I think, we've got an addiction to doing more. More seems like progress, but also more is more.
Yeah. And do you think that's more of a reflection for a small business?
Oh, definitely. Like you probably know yourself, but 1, 2, 3 key activities you can do on repeat.
Yeah.
And a lot of the other things just fall away.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy to fill a week up. Everyone can do that. But to do those things that are actually meaningful. So I suppose to answer the question before, there's definitely an element of identifying those factors, like what are the effective activities you can do for the business. And then it's about really just staying on track with those. And then for me as well, so obviously delivering on that key strategy and idea. For me as well, it's about looking at what are the underpinning factors of the business. So do we have strength around time, team, sales, marketing, things like this that every business needs. To go further, every business needs enough sales at a profitable dollar amount with good cash flow. If you don't have those things, you won't have a business soon. So that definitely comes into every conversation, looking at those things. But again, it's business to business. So really about where they're at the time, what they're up against. And that's what a lot of that snapshot is working out where the little gaps are potentially. Some things are easy to plug, some things are more comprehensive, and then getting into whatever the growth plan is for them. So for every business, it's very different.
And I'm just going a little.
Please.
So are you finding that given the economic environment, these challenges and changes can differ year on year depending on what's happening?
Oh, without a doubt. So constant calibration is a massive part of it for me. A phrase I use a lot is around like fixed points of perspective. So to use the analogy or metaphor there, for me, it's like imagine you're building a town inside of a mountain basin. So you're putting your bits in, you're on the ground, you're building this town, and that's going well. You've got this mountain range around you though. So if you're doing it well, you put in viewpoints. Once a week you go up to the top and you're like, right, cool, I can see my roads are straight from there. Daycare's next to the school, that makes sense. I'll build them at the opposite ends of town. You wouldn't do that. So you sort of, you don't get that a lot in business. So having those fixed points of perspective that objectively tell you if things are going well or not, they're different for every business, but a lot of them are the same. So again, sales, time, team, marketing. By having those fixed points in, and for me, ideally that's month to month. What do we do that's working? What are we doing that's leading to things working? It's then just a process of recalibration. And then have we finished with that project? What's the next sensible block of work to take on in actually making the business stronger, taking it to where it needs to go? So yes, definitely it changes all the time. Every business wants to grow in some capacity. It's pretty rare that a business doesn't want to make more money, or one way to think about it is, making the same amount of money in less time, under better conditions, more flexible. So, those things are sort of always true, but the conversations I love getting into are when someone's like, this is working really well, I'd actually love to do this and try it. Sort of kicks off that entrepreneurial spark again, and the whole cycle starts all over. So in that sense, it's calibrating, saying, are we going through a growth and stabilization phase? What are we doing with this quite deliberately? Get that plate spinning before you start on to the next one. So
it's good. I love all this stuff too, and I really do see the value in mindset and being a business owner. It is crazy. It can be, you got your highs, your lows, your really busy periods, and then you're prospecting. And so given that it is such a roller coaster ride, when should a business owner really get in contact with a business coach?
Canned answer always. When you've got something you want to do. So like ready for change, growth, next level are big phrases. the idea of just being on someone's expense line forever and having as a nice to have service is not a place I want to play in. So for me personally, the way I want to run the business, it's when someone's like, I want to do this. I'm not quite sure how to navigate that space. I want to take their business, I'm sick of being at this level. I want to go to this one. That's a big part for me. It's a change related, like looking to do something new, interesting, consolidate, change a model, amp things up, whatever that would be for that person in business. That's the time. And then really it's like while you're going through that phase, and then if you get to that point, you're really happy with it and content, and that serves a purpose. See you later to me. Great.
Yeah.
That's a big win.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
And lastly, what's one piece of advice you would give to business owners who are working on cultivating a positive and resilient mindset for success?
Yeah, good one. Just one.
You can have it.
I'll start with one. So I think the idea around being a business owner a lot of the time can be quite lonely or isolating in the sense that you're the one, like the buck has to stop with you. Early on, a great piece of advice I got from someone was like being able, if you can temper the highs and lows, I'm not saying like don't enjoy them, but if you can temper them and remember that they're not permanent, that'll keep you in the right space. I think that's a large part of it. Like a personal idea I love is this too shall pass. So everything is temporary, which makes it beautiful when we're talking about good things, so enjoy them more. But equally, when tough times, things change and move on. So nothing is permanent in that sense. So I think in terms of keeping going is the most important thing when it makes sense to keep going.
Yeah.
That's sort of one.
It's good advice. And, you know, business can be really, really exciting and challenging, and it's really good advice. Yeah,
it's the classic, like I don't know why, I think it's a hilarious thing, but like George Bush on the USS Arizona saying like, we did it, we won. Like that's a big idea for me, is like if you're saying I've won, it's probably a pretty good sign that you're about to have a bit of a fall. Like, because things keep moving, it's a fluid thing. So exiting a business is another thing altogether, and I suppose you could, if you define that as a win, but like when you're in it, it's even well-oiled machines need maintenance.
Yes.
Things change, so stay in the game.
Our business, from our experience, is always evolving and changing, and new ideas, and it's ever evolving. And same with the business owners that we all meet are often in the same position. Oh, definitely. And I mean, it's fun that way too. Yeah. How boring would it be if it was exactly the same every day forever? Yeah. So. Thank you so much. Pleasure. A pleasure as always talking to you. And I will put all your details below. Brill. Thanks heaps.